It's the weekly Armchair Kickoff.
Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. This is our Euro 2020 preview. Sorry, I'm late again this evening. Not only was I on another show, but also just had a few technical difficulties. The laptop had a bit of a nightmare. So sorry about being late, guys. In the comments, I do know. I do know you're speculating as to why I was late, but had technical difficulties and also coming off another show. So my apologies for being late, but thanks very much for staying in the comments and, sticking with us whilst I have my technical difficulties. So today we're here to talk all things Euro 2020 today. It's not going to be like a normal kind of podcast that we usually would have. We're going to talk, we're not going to talk about Manchester United today. We're going to talk about the European Championships, teams in the European Championships, big headlines surrounding the European Championships. And also we're talking about who was the favourites, who were the underdogs, potential golden boot winners, potential players to come up and spur a surprise. We're going to talk all that stuff. So plenty of discussion to be had tonight. So do get your comments in below. Do smash a like on the video. And do also subscribe to the channel because it does go a long way in terms of helping. We were due to be joined by Greg and Jack tonight, but unfortunately Jack's only able to make it tonight. He was out house hunting today. And so unfortunately the real estate agent turned up late, so essentially he can't be here this time. But no matter, we pursue, we move on, and we kick on and do the show. And so I'm going to bring in our fellow Scotsman here today. It's Mr. Greg Chambers. Greg, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing not too bad, doing all right. Sun's still out in Scotland for a change, so yeah, pretty good.
Do you know what, the evening is getting a bit kind of darkish here now as well. So for me, I think the sun's barely been out today. I've been working all day, so I haven't really got the chance to experience the sun here in Ireland. But it's nevertheless, it's always good, happy to be here. Before we get cracking into the discussion, Greg, tonight, I'm just going to come to the comments at the start. The Victoria's Secrets is in the comments, as always. Evening, folks. Hope everyone had a great bank holiday weekend. Yeah, look, I'm working for this bank holiday weekend, but it's always good. We always get the bank holiday weekend weather, so I may experience it in the evening at some stage over the weekend. Melina, our Arsenal fans, also in the comments this evening. Melina says, even Melina, hope all is well this evening. Daniel Nevison has been taking bets in the comments tonight. He said, how much we betting Keane is late? I think we got 5-1 odds for that on Paddy Thorpe for new customers. So, if you made that bet, fair play to you. Danielle is also in the comments, says, evening all. Hi, Danielle. Hope you're well this evening. Let's come to another couple of comments here. Victoria's Secret says we hope they'll have my late note ready. Yeah, look, I think the weekly Armchair group chat lads might be giving me a bit of a bollocking after this. But the thing about it is, when you're the host and founder of the channel, you might get away with it. Yeah, you might get away with it. Now, if I had my own boss, it might be a different story. But I think I might get away with it this evening. Daniel Levison also in the comments again, as always, says, evening, Greg. Great to see Daniel in the comments. Always a great contributor in the comments. And also we have Jay as well in the comments tonight. Jay says, evening Jay, hope you're well. Hope you have a good weekend. Look, this is a different podcast. Usually we're talking all things Manchester United. Usually we're talking all things the London clubs in this podcast. Why since we talk about international football? Like, since we kind of talked about international football, in terms of kind of the breaks and because international breaks, I always kind of like to cover United because I hate international football because I'm an Ireland fan. I don't have much to shout about. Like, I know we beat the mighty Andorra 4-1 yesterday, but other than that, like international football for me is always sour because either A, Man United get injured, or B, the football is diabolical sometimes to watch. But nevertheless, it's a European Championship. It's more football on the screen, more things to discuss about. So, like, I suppose first and foremost, Greg, for yourself, Scotland are in the European Championships. First major tournament, Greg, in quite some time. You qualified in dramatic fashion. How are you feeling coming into this tournament?
It's weird. Normally, I hide myself away for 3 to 4 weeks every 2 years in the summer just to hope that England lose and then come out of the shadows and rip the piss at the England fans. But actually having a team to root for this year, and I'm confident about this Scotland team. Like, this is the best I've seen Scotland playing in years, really. Since Steve Clarke's come in, the team's gone from strength to strength. Thought we were excellent through the week against Netherlands. Should have won that game. Just that little bit of quality that Depay had just sadly took it away from actually winning the game. But chuffed that we're in a tournament at all. It's the first one in my lifetime, so I've never seen Scotland in a international tournament. So getting there is enough for us to win. Never mind beating England at Wembley, because when that happens, that's just I'll be ready.
Yeah, look, it's a massive game, and I think wasn't the last time England had won the home nations in the Euros was actually Wales in 2016, and that was a very close fought affair. I think before that, then it was Ireland in the Euros. Well, years before that, we all know how that went. Guys. So I know there's a lot of English people in the comments, so I won't go there. But we all know how Ireland got a result against them in that game. But nevertheless, like, look, I think for Scotland, it's very good to see them get into major tournament. I think last time, they were close to making one was Euro 2008. They were very unlucky not to make the Euros in that year. I think since then, obviously, they've kind of there's managerial changes. There's been political issues in terms of the Scottish FA. There's been a lot that's happened. But all in all, I think you look at it and you say, look, it's a positive step. I think
absolutely.
You look at some of the players that are coming through. It's a very good step for Scotland. And look, it's interesting because the group they have with the third place teams getting qualifying into the next round, they could potentially make the knockout rounds. But we'll talk about that more when we speak about the group stages and possible scenarios.
Absolutely.
Just before we get into group stages and predictions and all that type of stuff, obviously a team that's in your group, and you touched on at the start of the group, has been England. And obviously, right with yourselves, a fellow home nation. England, there's been kind of a lot of controversy with the squad they've picked. Obviously, it's been documented before Trent Alexander-Arnold's injury a couple of days ago. Gareth Southgate proceeded to pick 4 right backs. Obviously, a couple of notable omissions, from the squad. When you look at England's squad and you look at kind of the scrutiny that's been around Southgate in terms of certain players he's picked, certain players he's left out. Obviously, Jordan Henderson hasn't played much football in a couple of months. He's getting brought in for his leadership, which I do understand. On the other hand, Southgate's whole mantra is about playing players who are in form, bringing players who are in form. I don't understand why Lingard wasn't in the squad. Look, we'll touch on that in a moment. But for you, when you look at the kind of situation with the 4 right backs, you look at the overall squad he's picked, like the Bellinghams, the Phil Fodens. What are your overall thoughts on the England squad for this upcoming Euros? Because in many eyes, in the bookies, they're the favourites to win the competition.
Yeah, they're always favourites. They're always one of the favourites of the competition. They're always hyped up to no end, and then they'll have one poor performance and everyone jumps on their back. But I think with the England squad, this was probably the most clear cut it could have been. I feel like in recent years there's been a lot of who'll miss out, who won't miss out. But I feel like the midfield and the attack base picked itself. Especially when Greenwood dropped it earlier on in the day. I feel like Saka's in there because Greenwood isn't, or maybe Watkins is in there because Greenwood isn't. I don't believe that Saka would have been taken and Greenwood wouldn't have if he was fit to go. But yeah, you're right with that defensive option. Like at the end of the day, Southgate just didn't have the bottle to drop one of them, and he should have. He should have dropped one of them. I don't know who. I'd have personally not taken Trent. I think Trippier, James, and Walker. Because Walker's going to play. It doesn't matter. It's who can play backup. And all this talk about taking Trent as a midfielder, absolute nonsense. Like he's never played midfield at senior level. So why would you risk that in a European Championship? I'd have taken someone like Ben Godfrey, someone who's earned it over the season, been absolutely brilliant for Everton. And why not? If you're taking a 26-man squad, the fourth choice right back isn't going to play a game. So why not take someone like Godfrey or someone young or Ben White, who give them that experience of being in the England camp, like the same thing they did with Walcott all those years ago. They took him along. Okay, he didn't play, but he was in the camp, he was around all these big players, and it's just a good thing to do. So I would have liked to see them do that. I obviously we don't know what will happen now that Trent's injured. I think Lingard will probably come back in. I'd like Lingard to come back in. I rate him higher than James Ward-Prowse. I think James Ward-Prowse is just like a kicker, like an NFL kicker. Like he's great on a dead ball, which is fine, but there's loads of good English players that are good in a dead ball. So I'd like to see Jesse come back in, but it was a weird decision to take 4 right backs and have taken someone younger, especially with a bigger squad.
Yeah, 100%. And like, look, for me, even Bukayo Saka getting picked ahead of Lingard, I thought was ludicrous. When you think about current form coming into this Euros, I think Saka in the first half of the season was very good, very, very good. But he kind of petered off in the second half of the season, and Lingard's like, since January up until now, has been one of the best players in the Premier League. Never mind at his football club, he's been one of the best players in the Premier League in terms of consistency. And he's played at international level before. He's played at a tournament before. He's scored goals in a tournament before, albeit now some of the goals he scored were against weaker opposition, but he still has the experience playing international stage. Yeah. And Southgate's overall mantra since he's taken over England's, well, we're not going to bring players on reputations. We're going to bring them on current form. When you look at that, for example, Lingard getting omitted, disgrace for me. Like I think Jordan Pickford, he's getting picked by default. Jordan Pickford's been a very bad goalkeeper this season. Yeah, very bad goalkeeper this season. Dean Henderson should be the number one. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Nick Pope being injured has obviously is saying that. But you look at it, the squad, the 4 right back situation. I agree. I think when you look at form this season, Trent now. One thing I will give Trent is towards the end of the season, Trent has been very good in terms of his current form. Yeah. But you look at the 3 other right backs England have. Reece James has won the Champions League and he's been consistent all season, and he can play in a 3 as a centre back, and he can play left back. You've Kyle Walker, who can play right back, just won the Premier League, been one of the best fullbacks in the league this season, obviously around Cancelo. And then you look Kieran Trippier, who's just won La Liga with Atletico Madrid, and he's been very good in a Diego Simeone team. Mm-hmm. So I think you look at the right back situation, I think Trent's the odd one out if you're talking overall season. And like, again, you Liverpool fans calling for Trent to be brought to the competition, but the minute he's injured, now they're saying, oh, lovely, he's going to be fit for next season. Like, pick and choose, like, what you want to do. Like, pick and choose. If you want him to go, like, you're sick and he's not playing. Like, you know what I mean? Consistency and all that crack. But I just have to get that Liverpool dig in at least once every show. But
too easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's too easy, 100%. But like, you look at this situation with England's squad, there's a lot of good young players in there. Obviously, Phil Foden, Joe Bellingham, very good midfielder. Obviously, you have the likes of Harry Kane, like proven goal scorer, very good player. Jack Grealish for his first major tournament, standout player, flair player. Like, not many players in this European Championships, especially against the top teams, are going to be used to coming up against them. Yeah. He's going to give England that X factor, I feel. Yeah. And obviously,
I think he's their best player. I think Grealish is England's best player. Like, if Grealish,
Harry Kane, I'd still say Harry Kane. But
I think Harry Kane's their best goal scorer and their best option to get a goal. But in terms of like quality footballer, like I've said this before, I've said it in our group chats and things like that. In terms of footballing ability, Grealish is up there with like the Bruno Fernandez's and Kevin De Bruyne's in terms of football ability. He just doesn't get the results because of the team he plays for. Like Grealish in a team like Man City or a Man United or a Liverpool would get 15 plus assists a season and get 10 goals. He is a phenomenal footballer.
Great footballer. Great footballer.
So good.
I think a big thing for England here too is Harry Maguire. Like if he's fit, they have a good defender. Like me being an Ireland fan, I don't have, I suppose, allegiance to England. But if I was an England fan, I'd be sweating on his fitness right now, because if you have to play a back four and you play Connor Cody and Tyrone Mings a centre back, you're in big trouble. You're in trouble. Even against Croatia, you're in trouble. Now I know we're going to touch on the groups now in a minute, but you're in big trouble. Even against Scotland, against Che Adams, that centre back pairing isn't safe. It really isn't. Obviously, Luke Shaw, left back, you can maybe throw him as a left centre back if he goes to a 5 or a 3, whatever way you want to interpret it. Luke Shaw could be a crucial player. But look, I like the England squad apart from the 4 right back situation. I think England are going to be a strong team in this tournament. I'll get to where I think they're going to finish and whether they're going to win it or not. We'll get to that. But I suppose let's touch on the groups and the teams who are in this tournament. Because there's a lot of quality in this tournament. There's a lot of unknown quality in this tournament. So let's touch on these teams who are in it. So we're going to start at Group A. Group A seems to be a very tight-knit group, in my opinion. So the 4 teams who are in Group A, we have Italy, we have Switzerland, we have Turkey and Wales. Now you break this down, I think Italy are probably the standout team in the group. Obviously, we all know they have a winning pedigree and they're experienced. I know the last couple of major tournaments they haven't played at the highest level, but again, the Italian national team is always someone in a major tournament. They usually go far. There is always like the hidden gems in there. And they even look at Euro 2012, like they weren't fancied at all. I remember they were in our group, the Irish group, and they really kind of made a difference. Like the players that they have, like obviously they've the likes of Immobile, who was a very good striker, Keane, Jorginho in midfield. Obviously they've Donnarumma in goal, who's a world-class goalkeeper and can keep him single-handedly in the game. Obviously they've the likes of Marco Verratti, Bernardeschi, Federico Chiesa, Belotti. There's many of these top players in this squad. They're going to be, in my opinion, I know we're going to talk about dark horse, but I think for me, they're definitely a dark horse in this tournament, 110%. Then obviously, like you look at the rest of the group, Switzerland, I think, we know Granit Xhaka, is a player in that team, Sikaria, players like that who can perform. But for me, if I look at this group, and I was going to make my prediction now on this group, because I know Wales in there as well, they've picked kind of a young but a very good squad, like obviously the Wales of the world, obviously Woodburn's in there. You have the likes of Nico Williams, Daniel James, young Dylan Levitt from Man United is after getting called up. So there's a bit of blend of youth and experience, which I always like to see in international tournaments. It always seems to kind of blend well. And obviously Turkey have a very young, promising team coming up. And I think not this tournament, the next one.
Turkey. I think I've got a bet on Turkey each way. In this tournament, they've got.
I think they're a promising team. I think this tournament might be a bit too early for them, but maybe. But I think the World Cup, I think they could definitely be, especially being a Winter World Cup too. We definitely could see them really progress. But I want to get your thoughts on Group A, and kind of where you think this group's going to pan out, because obviously third place can potentially qualify too.
Yeah, how does it work? Is it like the fourth best? Is it the 4 best third place finishes? Or 4 best. So obviously Switzerland, you would fancy, like one of Switzerland or Turkey, you'd probably fancy to be of the 4 best sort of third place teams. But I think Italy, I think you're right. I think Italy will win the group. Whether they do it comfortably or not, I'm not sure. Turkey are a good side. Switzerland are a good side. They're organised sides. Like we said about Turkey, they've got a really young upcoming squad. Like Demiral and Kalgar Sayuncu just being their back two, which is a quality back two to have before you even add in sort of fullbacks and such in front of them. But yeah, I think Italy will win it. I think that Mobley's so key for Italy. I'm pretty sure he's in the squad, isn't he, Mobley?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Mobley's so key for Italy.
I think for me, this group, I'm going to go my top 3. I'm going to go Italy to win the group. I'm going to go Turkey second, Wales third. I think Wales will nick Switzerland. I think they'll nick it. That's one of my dodgy calls I'm going to make. But maybe that's me being...
Wales round, I'll go with that. Like, I think Wales will finish bottom of the group. I think they might get a point or something. But I don't think they've got the depth of the squad, and I just don't think they've got the experience in the squad to be in that situation. Obviously, they've got players like Gareth Bale and stuff. His heart's always going to be in it. He always is
Ramsey.
for Wales. And Ramsey, yeah, they've got good quality players. Just don't think they've got enough all over the pitch to deal with teams like Switzerland and Turkey and especially Italy. Italy should win this comfortably. But
100%. So I think we'll go on that. We'll go at least two of the teams. We'll say Italy and Turkey top two, and we'll leave it to the comments. We'll leave it to the comments. Who do you think is going to finish third and fourth in that group? And do let us know in the comments. Yeah. Group B, I think this is a foregone conclusion. Belgium second, first, Denmark. Belgium first, Denmark second, Russia third, Finland fourth.
Yeah,
that's the way
I agree.
Yeah.
Straight
out. Danny explaining. I think you look at the teams man for man. I think that's the way it's going to go. In my opinion. Group C, again, more of the same. Netherlands first for me. I'll go Netherlands fourth. Fourth. Someone's trying to ring me at the same time there. Netherlands first. Austria second. Ukraine third. North Macedonia fourth.
See, I think Ukraine will beat Austria. I've watched Austria now play against Scotland and play against England, and none of what I've seen have looked. And obviously, they're two very different games. I watched them play Scotland in a World Cup qualifier, and I watched them play England in a friendly the other night, and neither of the games did they look at all threatening or anything like that. They just don't seem to have much to trouble decent, well organised teams. I think Ukraine will nick it. I don't know why. I just can't see that Austria side doing much. And like Daniel said, Ukraine aren't awful. They're okay.
Yeah, like it's a toss-up. Like I think it'd be close, but I think Austria might, like they've likes of Alaba and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they've a bit of experience there that might get them over the line. But again, it's a close group. But I think we can all agree Macedonia. I think for me, probably will be like the Hungary in the next group we'll get to. But the all important group for the viewers and for me, the group I'm going to be watching the most here.
Definitely.
Group D. So Group D consists of Croatia, Czech Republic, England, and Scotland. So before I come to Greg, because I know Greg will have his own prediction, I probably think with his heart, but
I'm
going to go England to top the group. I think England will top the group. Won't be easy, but I think they'll top the group.
Yeah.
Croatia will be second. I think Croatia are a very good team. Again, they're dark horse for the tournament. They proved that in the World Cup. They were a very good team. And they do have a lot of experience. Obviously, some of their midfield players some of their legs are gone. But I think against the likes of Scotland and Czech Republic, with no disrespect, I think they'll have enough to get through them.
Yeah.
Third place. I'm gonna Scotland, I think, will edge it.
Yeah.
I think Scotland will. I think they'll edge it. No, but this is the thing here for me. I think Scotland are going to find a tough finish in third place. I think it's going to be one of the best third place teams. I think it's going to go down to the wire. I think it's going to go down to the last game for me. But I think they'll get over the line. I think there's a few players there who are match winners who can. I think it really comes down to the game against the Czech Republic and maybe nicking a point of Croatia, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because we're getting 3 against England at Wembley anyway. It won't matter. Trust me, it won't matter. It's happening. I've spoke it now into existence for 7 months. It's going to happen.
So, Greg, give me your top 3 in this group. Give me your whole group. Really.
Yeah, well, I'll give the whole group. And I know Daniel asked very quickly earlier what my team would be starting against England. Pretty similar to the team that started against Netherlands through the week. Pretty much same team. Although the front two, I'd have Che Adams and Kevin Nisbet. And I'd probably have McGinn in instead of Armstrong as well. I just think that gives us better balance. I think Nisbet's a better striker than Lyndon Dykes. But in terms of the group, I think Czech Republic will finish 4th. I don't know why. I just got a feeling they will. We've played them multiple times. It seems like Scotland play the same nations every bloody year for qualifying for everything. And we played the Czech Republic loads, and they were okay, but they weren't brilliant. So I think they'll finish 4th. I'm going to say it. Croatia are finishing 3rd. Scotland are finishing 2nd. England are going to top the group. That's going to happen. We're going to get, I guarantee you we will get a freak win. We will. We will. We've not been there in 20 years. We're going to be disrespected. Like the way the English media talk about playing teams like Scotland and stuff like that. Watch. We'll get one win. We will get a win. And a win will be enough in that group. If you can get a win, a couple of draws, you'll go through that group setting with 5 points. We will get a freak win. We'll either beat England at Wembley or we'll go and beat Croatia. Guarantee it.
I can't believe you said that Scotland are going to finish out of Croatia.
We will. Trust me.
Guys, everyone who's watching this, the comments, if you have screen record, do go back to Greg's part, do screen record that. I will definitely come back with him in the group chat, and I will send it on to Sean as well. But anyway, I respect your opinion, Greg. I really do, and look, I hope that kind of works out for you. I really do, because Scotland will get a favourable draw as a second place team. You never know what the other way the other groups are going. But look, we'll see kind of what happens. But this is what I love about these podcasts. They do generate strong opinions, sometimes right, sometimes wrong, sometimes wild. But this is what I love about it. Group E. Again, this group, I think there's one standout team, but there's the 3 teams in this group are all at a similar level. A similar level. Now, I'm going to go this rattle off straight away. I think for me, first place, Spain, 100%. Spain tops the group. Edging it in second, I'm going to go Sweden. I think Sweden could edge it. They have a decent squad. Now, if Zlatan was there, I would have even said they could win the group, but he's not there, so they're a bit light. But Alexander Isak, very good striker, very young, unknown quantity against these teams, could definitely make an impact. Poland have finished third, I think. Just about. I think it's toss-up between them and Sweden for that second and third place. It's going to be very close. Lewandowski is obviously an X-factor for Poland. We all know how good he is. Outside of him, Poland's team is very average. I've seen him play against Ireland last season. Yeah. Very average. Bar Lewandowski, that team, for me, very, very average. I think Slovakia in fourth, but again, it's going to be close between second and fourth, I feel. I think, like, you look at them 3 teams, for me, I think that's the way it's going to go. I think Spain will win the group, without a shadow of a doubt. Spain will win the group. But
I don't know. I don't like Spain's squad. I don't think Spain's squad's balanced enough. I don't think it's got enough energy in it. The midfield's not brilliant. And I watched them tonight play against Portugal, and I know it's a friendly and stuff, but they were really poor. Like, they couldn't move the ball left to right. There was no runners in behind or anything like that. And I don't know whether that's if...
I'll just say, Danielle, they were average, but we were also average. It was a shit game of football. But that's what I said, apart from Lewandowski, like, they were... Like,
I think that might be enough. I think Poland will win the group, and I think Spain will finish second. But because I think having Lewandowski in that team is enough, and they'll have players like Zielinski and things like that in the midfield to sort of dominate the ball and get the ball to him. But I think Lewandowski being in that team is enough for them to get first in that group. Like, I've not been impressed with Spain. Don't like their squad. I think them not picking Ramos is going to bite them in the arse to not have that leadership in the team as well. The right back situation is horrific. They've got absolutely no pace at the back, especially on that right hand side. So yeah, I think Poland will top the group. I think Spain will finish second, and then Sweden third.
Interesting. But again, this is why I love it, because we both different predictions. We both see it differently. But again, we'll come back to this at the end of the Euros, and we'll come back to actually at the end of the group stage, and we'll see kind of how right and how wrong we were. But yeah, now
the fun group.
They named this Group F, but they should have thrown this into Group D, because fuck me, is this group the group of death?
Yeah,
this group is horrendous if you're hungry. So I'm just gonna So in Group F, the group I think I'm going to be watching the most with interest, because there's a few Man United players in this.
Just a few.
France. Germany, Reece Russell's second country, Hungary, and a team I love very much, Portugal. So, I'm just going to say straight out, Hungary, 4th place.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Germany, 3rd place.
Yep.
Reece Russell, I'm sorry, bud, but third place. Definitely one of the best third place teams, but Germany third place. Fuck. Now this
It's so hard. It's like the two best teams in the competition, I think.
Do you know what? I'm going to give my two teams to finish second and first here, right? But there's a twist when it comes to my predictions later on in the show. I'm going to go Portugal second, France to win the group on goal difference.
Yeah, I think it could be genuinely that close. But I agree with the four. I think France will just nick it. I like the Portugal team. The Portugal team's unbelievable.
And their depth in the 26.
yeah.
Ridiculous. France's depth in 26. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, France could probably pick a team of unpicked players that would probably win the fucking tournament. Like, it's stupid.
Danielle, I fucking love your prediction.
Hungary will finish above. Oh, I would love that. They're just a really old team. Like, the German team's just got the same situation that the Italy team had a few years ago. They're all just growing old together at the same time, and the youngsters coming through aren't. I've not been impressed with Sané since he went to Bayern. I don't think he's a fantastic asset to that team. I don't think he's a great. Obviously, he was good at City, but I don't know. I think Germany will be really average in this tournament. I just can't see them getting past Portugal or France.
Yeah, but look again. This is why. This is the first group we actually. I think apart from the first group, we actually fully agreed on. Which again, look, when you're actually on these shows, the only time me and Greg agree is when we talk about United in certain topics. We won't go there, but other times we normally don't agree. But this one times we do agree. So this is what I like to see. But yeah. So before we get to the winners of the tournament and we kind of go to kind of that, I'd like to just ask you, Greg, who is your dark horse to do well in this tournament this season, this year?
Turkey. Definitely Turkey. I think their squad's brilliant. Like their defence is young at play, and their midfield as well. Also, really, I would say it's a young and upcoming team. They're playing in top leagues in Europe. I just think they'll do really well, and the way that their path sort of works out, if they can get through the groups, they've got a really good chance of getting to the semi-finals. Just because they avoid Group F. Because they're obviously in Group A, they'll avoid Group F all the way through, which is really good news. If you can avoid one of those teams, you'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, I think Turkey are definitely my dark horse to go all the way. Like, I think they'll be written off really early, but I think they'll be a really good team to watch. Yeah,
Turkey was one of my teams, but I think Italy for me. I know they're a big country, but we look at some of their players, their squad, there's a bit of experience in there. There's a few players who are up and coming as well. I think they could be a team who could push semis, potentially. I think they could be a team to knock out Belgium if possible, if they do get Belgium in the tournament at some stage. I think Belgium are one of the teams who are flying under the radar in this, but Belgium are a good team. I think Belgium be favourites to beat Italy by the bookies and probably by pundits, but I think Italy...
That'd be a brilliant game.
Brilliant game.
Such a good game. Style. Yeah, that'd be so good. Like Verratti against De Bruyne and stuff like that. That'd be unreal.
Yeah, but for me, I do not want to see Kevin De Bruyne win Euros this summer. that would absolutely murder me. But yeah, I think your dark horse is Turkey, mine's Italy. But yeah, look, again, it's great to kind of see contrasting opinions. People in the comments, guys, give me your dark horse of this tournament in terms of teams you don't really fancy to win.
Daniel, I know Ramos isn't fit. I just meant in terms of leadership and stuff in the changing room. I know he's injured, but I just think having that when you're allowed 26 and you only take 23, and you could take a leader like Ramos to even like you saw what it did to Portugal 4 years ago, having Ronaldo on the sideline when he couldn't even play a game. You would basically coach them to a win. So I just think having someone like that would have really benefited Spain.
Yeah, and that's true. I think Ramos could be a massive miss, or it could be a massive stroke picking the younger players. Just again, remains to be seen. Does remain to be seen. Greg, next topic. Who's going to win the Golden Boot? Talk to me.
Oh God. Probably Kylian Mbappe. I know it's a boring answer, but he plays in one of the best teams. They're going to create a lot of chances. He's got Paul Pogba behind him, who's I think he could be special in this tournament, especially with his contract situation. I feel like we'll get the Paul Pogba of old to come out in this tournament and really, really show what he can do. I think Mbappe, massive chance to be the golden boot. Well, like I think he might get like 8 or 9. I don't think it'll be a case of just getting like 6. I think he'll get like 8, 9, maybe 10 goals, because France on their day, like you saw what they did in the World Cup final. I know it was against Croatia that weren't great, but that's on their day, and they just ripped them apart. If France get a hold of someone early doors, you could really hurt them, and Mbappe could do all the work.
Yeah, well, look, I agree. Look, he could be going a boot, but I'm going to go with the odds-on favourite from this one for me. It has to be Harry Kane for me. I think Harry Kane. You look at England's group. No disrespect, Greg.
We've got McTominay at the back. We'll be fine.
Like you look at that group, I think I fancy him to get a couple against Scotland, a couple against Czech Republic.
Yeah,
could even score against Croatia, and then depending on the other groups around them, if they get any teams, they get out of Group C. If they get Austria or Ukraine, fancy bagging a few there.
Yeah.
I think Harry Kane. I think it could be similar to the World Cup. I think he could nearly have it wrapped up by the end of the group stage. I think that when you look at the group, I think that's definitely something. So definitely something. I was just reading Steve's message here in the group chat. Definitely Harry Kane, I think for me, is definitely for me that nailed on for the golden boot. Now again, look, we could see, I said Mbappe, or a player we haven't even mentioned, which I actually want to touch on after this, Karim Benzema.
Yeah.
He has a lot to prove. Been out of the French fold for many years, back in the squad now. Obviously, for me, I think Deschamps done very well at this. They seen the group they got. Usually they go with Giroud or Griezmann up front. They seen the group they had. They reconciled with Benzema. What are your thoughts about him making his return to the France fold?
He's so underrated, isn't he? I don't know if he's underrated. I think by people that watch football and watch a lot of football, he's rated quite heavily and they know how good he is. But I think just with how long he played second fiddle at Madrid behind Ronaldo, that people sort of written him off, that he couldn't be that guy, but he's been so good. He's been so good. The goals that he scored this year, he dragged Real Madrid to a Champions League semi-final with how he played. But he's just been excellent. And fair play to Deschamps, because it would have taken a lot. He's been out of the squad for a long time. He's been out of that France squad. So it would have taken a lot for Deschamps to sort of swallow his pride and then have that conversation with Karim and get him back in. So no, he's done absolutely brilliant. He's deserved his chance, and I hope he does bag a few goals, because he's fantastic to watch. He's proper old-fashioned striker. You saw in his goal against Chelsea in the semi-final. Against Liverpool, I think, in the quarter-final. He's really good. Just his way he moves, he's just brilliant. So yeah, I hope he does really well.
Yeah, look, for me, it's a master stroke by Deschamps, bring them back in. You think the way he knits the play together, right? It's kind of similar to what Keane done from Spurs this season in terms of dropping in. You look at this, you've Mbappe on the left of him, Coman or Griezmann on the other side of him, making them runs past him, and he can pop the balls into him. Not only that, you have Paul Pogba who can link up with him. I think that's massive.
I think Pogba is so ridiculous.
Good. It's so good. Now, again, I'll touch on what's going to happen at the end of the tournament, but for me, Benzema coming into this team is a fucking game changer in terms of their overall play, in terms of their overall style of play. It's going to make France evolve. They're going to be better than the World Cup. Yeah. But for me, it's great to see him back and playing international football, because, again, the one thing he doesn't have in his locker is a international trophy. Yeah. At senior level. So, for me, it's definitely a game changer. But we will get to our tournament winners. Now, I did predict in my group that we'd have France top of the group and had Portugal second. Now, obviously, there's teams like England, Belgium, Turkey, Italy, Germany, all in this group, all in this tournament. So, Greg, what I want you to do Give me your semi-finalists.
Semi-finalists.
Give me your 4 teams in the top. Give me your top 4 teams. Who you think are going to be in the semis?
Right. Okay. I think France and Portugal will be in. I think the Netherlands will be in. And Belgium. I'll go Belgium.
Belgium.
You thought I was going to say England?
The thing is, England are in mine. I've gone Portugal, France, Netherlands, England. That's going to be my semi-finals. Very similar to yourself. Now, give me your winners of the tournament.
France.
I
think it's France. France are so good. Like you said earlier, like their depth is ridiculous. I think Mr. Paul Pogba will take over the tournament. I think it'll be an absolute dream to watch. And I love watching Pogba when he plays well, so I hope he has an absolute flyer. I just think France, they're far too good. They're in that winning mentality as well. They came so close 4 years ago to winning the Euros, and that seemed to spur them on 2 years later in the World Cup. And then I just think the way that they're playing, the fact that they're effectively going to get a Euros and a World Cup in back-to-back years, they could be a real force for this tournament and the next one as well.
I'm going to go with Portugal beating France in the final.
Ooh, again.
Yeah, I think lightning strikes twice. I think this is probably Cristiano's last tournament.
Yeah.
I think he's just going to be a whole different machine in this tournament. They've Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Diaz. You look at it then, just their overall squad depth, it's ridiculous. Similar to France. Diogo Jota, I think he's a player who's going to light up this tournament as well. I think he's going to be a player who's going to play very well, score a couple of goals. He's going to have match-winning games. He mightn't be the best performer, but Jota will pop up and get a couple of vital goals.
Yeah.
For Portugal. Definitely. Bruno Fernandes, I think him and Paul Pogba are actually going to be fighting it out for assists, leading assists in this tournament with, I'm going to say it now, Mason Mount. Them 3 players can probably have the most assists in this tournament.
Or Grealish. Depends on where they...
Grealish, yeah. Whoever you want to kind of really put in there. But I'm going to go Portugal to win it and Bruno to score in the final.
Oh, I'd love that.
Bruno to score in the final. And you think my propaganda was bad before, guys. Bruno Fernandes scores in the final. Actually, do you know what? I'll go one better. I'll go Portugal to win 2-1. And I'll go Fernandes and Pogba to both score in the same game.
Oh,
that's beautiful, isn't it? That's beautiful. Yeah. But yeah, look, they're my winners. I think Portugal will win it out. Danielle says a Bruno penalty. If Ronaldo's on the pitch, I don't believe Bruno will take it. If Ronaldo's gone off and on managerial duty like he did in 2016, then by all means, I think we may see a Bruno penalty. But wouldn't that be glorious? Let's say Portugal get England in the semi-finals and they get eliminated by a Bruno penalty after all the English media slander on Bruno Fernandes this year. I think that'd be absolutely sensational. But Greg, obviously we've talked about the Euros and we've talked about who our top scorer is going to be. We've talked about who's going to win the tournament. We've talked about all different headlines. We're now going to have a little segue. We're up on our topic, but guys, we're just going to drop out our show just for 2 moments. We're still going to be live, so do stay aware. I know Greg doesn't even know what I'm going to bring up here. So we're going to drop out for 2 seconds, guys. We're going to be back in a moment. We'll be back after this break, guys. So we'll be here in a moment. Bear with us.
Oh dear. Keane's wind-up internet happening again, I think. Yep. Well, I assume what we're jumping into now is the Man United portion of the show, because there's been some news about Man United in the last sort of 48 hours, stuff about transfers, stuff about Man United Supporters Trust, about the Glazers, stuff like that. So I'm sure Keane will be here in a minute, but having a look. Yeah, Rory, spot on. Keane's Wi-Fi is not working. Is he back?
It's not my Wi-Fi. It's most definitely my laptop, lads. It's my laptop. It's not my Wi-Fi. It's my laptop. I'm going to have to get a new one. But welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We've done our Euro 2020 preview on this show. But now, I do want to touch on something different. Obviously, you've seen the video for Devil's Advocate. We're now going to do a segue back onto United show, back on Devil's Advocate. So welcome back, everyone, to the show. Better than a normal commercial break. So, people who think they're tuned in, as Victoria's Secret says today.
I think you're really late.
Says, people are just tuned in now who are going to think Keane is extra late today. Well, this is what we're all about in this channel. We're all about a bit of what you see is what you get. You never know what's going to happen. It's a bit of everything. But we're here to talk about big things in Manchester United now. Danielle says, is Keane always late? Or am I just normally later? But yeah. Greg, I want to talk about the meeting today. Manchester United Supporters Trust meeting with Joe Glazer today. Obviously, I touched on the United show yesterday. I had my own thoughts about the Glazers thing. Whole Ollie in, Ollie out debate. I've had that many times at this stage. But obviously today, the Glazers met with Musk today. They discussed a lot of things today. So I'm just going to obviously give people a breakdown of the full meeting today, everything that was discussed. And Greg, I want to get your thoughts on kind of everything here. So first of all, first thing the Glazers said to the Manchester United Supporters Trust is the club will agree to work with the Manchester United Supporters Trust on fan share scheme. Shares will have equal voting rights to the Glazer family. Shares says it could be the largest fan ownership group in world sport. However, it won't confirm if volume is going to be capped, but it is limiting it as of now. That's the first thing. Next, there is a fan advisory board to be set up with elected fan reps and fan groups on it all. All fundamental issues to be consulted on, including joining and leaving competitions and leaving Old Trafford. That's obviously in relation to the recent debacle with the Super League. Third point on the meeting was fans forum to be expanded and more representatives of the fan base would be on the board. Fourth, the Glazer family agreed to pay all costs and fines associated to European Super League, including UEFA and Premier League fines. They then go on to say that they commit to major investment in the stadium and also new training facilities. I believe that when I see it. Full cooperation in fan-led review. Senior executives leading and will support the Manchester United Supporters Trust to engage with fans on that. The seventh thing that was discussed was commitment to ongoing engagement with fans and apologies for getting it wrong for 16 years of silence. Bullshit. Eight, the last 2 points really get me here. 8, they will not commit to paying off any debt at the football club. 9, they believe taking dividends are fair. And then to finally end the meeting, they commit to investment in the team this summer. So, sorry if anyone could hear my phone dropping on the wooden table there. Greg, hearing all that, what are your thoughts?
I'm not overly shocked about sort of anything that you said. I wouldn't expect them to say that the dividends are unfair and that they were going to take it back because they've been doing it for so long. So that didn't surprise me. The thing about the debt didn't surprise me because they leveraged against the club to buy it. So it didn't surprise me that they weren't going to pay that off. I don't know. It's a lot of talk about things that they want to get done. It's not really something that we can judge until it happens. They've obviously said that a lot of these things have been accelerated, and things like the fan representation on the board, that's already been discussed, and they want that in place by the start of next season, which is a step in the right direction. I think, like what Daniel says in the comments there, that it doesn't seem like they're ready to sell up. And I think there's a lot of Man United fans now that, okay, if we're not going to be able to drive them out with what we've done, then it needs to be a case of doing what Musk did today, which was to try and work with them to find a happy medium in terms of running the day-to-day life of the football club and to getting us back to a level where we want to be. They said that they want to win every trophy that we compete in, and they said they're going to back the squad. Well, that's the one that we'll see first of all, because they've got the chance now in the next 8 weeks to back the squad, to back Ollie, to spend a lot of money on this team, fix the issues that we've got, and allow us to compete. Once they do that, then that's when you look, okay, at the ones that are away, that aren't achievable straight away. Obviously, things like the training ground facilities and that being upgraded, yeah, that has to happen, but it won't happen in June. It won't happen in July. It'll probably happen next year, like planning everything that's got to go into that. So I wasn't shocked about what was said. That's a lot of we promised to make these actions rather than actual actions, which is what it was always going to be. I was surprised he even did it. At the end of the day, I know there was talk that he was going to do it, but I'm surprised he did it and to have the balls to do that. I wouldn't fucking be doing that after what I'd done to that football club, to sit in front of its most passionate supporters that sort of the supporters trust, and just basically admit that you've done a lot of things wrong over the years. So proof will be in what they actually do. Their words mean very little. We know that. They've put apologies and everything. We know that. All their words mean very little. What they actually do is important. So, okay, let's improve the facilities. Let's improve the training ground. Let's keep investing in the squad. Let's get fan representation on the board, things like that. I think it just put in perspective the sort of long and short-term goals for the club and for United fans. And what it gives us now is a checklist and something to hold them against, because they've never done it in the past. They've never told us this is what we want to achieve. Now they have. They've got it in writing. Who the Man United Supporters Trust that were on this call, they hold them accountable now. They've got something to hold them accountable to. Like, this is what we want to achieve. Okay, you said you wanted to achieve that. Why have you not? Whereas in the past, there was nothing there. But there's something solid there now for Man United fans to hold them accountable to. And it's not a case of holding them accountable to if all 9 points haven't been ticked off by next year. That's not realistic. But there's points in time. Has to be over time, yeah. But there has to be progress towards it every year. You can't just put it off till there's another riot outside your stadium, and then is when you go on and fix things and make things better again. So yeah, I wasn't massively surprised, but it's a step in the right direction. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, look, if I be honest here, I agree with Danielle. Part of me thinks it's empty promises, a lot of it.
Yeah.
No, but here's where the buck stops with me here. Why do it on the back of a game getting called off and 2 mass protests? It's going to be disgusting. Yes, they may invest in the squad this summer. Do I think they'll follow up on that? No. This is the thing here. They'll probably invest this summer, and we'll see improvement in the playing squad. And whether we challenge for the league, we don't win a trophy next year. If we get investment this season and it doesn't work out, that's on Ollie, right? Let's just put that. Let's park that. Let's just agree on that straight away before people say, are we Ollie in or Ollie out writing?
Well, me and you agree. That's all that matters.
Glazers promised this summer and we get it. And we don't win anything and we don't challenge the league. That's on Ollie.
Yeah.
There you go. Sack him next summer. I've already said it many times. I'll say it again. But I think you look at the other things, like repairing the stadium for me, I think is massively important. I think...
Yeah.
You look at things such as that leak in the roof that has to be fixed. That's been like that for years. I've been traveling to Old Trafford for years. It's been always like that for a long time. The stadium is rusting. They're going to have to upgrade that. The training ground, things like the swimming pool not being repaired for months, that needs to be done. They need to build facilities for the women's team. Like, that hasn't been done. Again, this is a big reason why Casey Stoney left the football club. You look at things such as, this is where I think this club isn't serious about this. literally an hour and a half after this gets announced, we're then announcing that we're in contract talks with Lee Grant and Juan Mata. Now,
but that's different.
No, but here's the thing, Greg. Let me finish. No, Greg, let me fucking finish.
I will, but I don't think it's directly relatable.
No. But let me finish, Greg. Let me finish. Lee Grant's contract, fair enough, coaching staff is going to go down that line, right? I think we all know he's probably going to end up as a goalkeeping coach eventually.
Yeah.
But a 1-year deal for him, it makes no sense, I think, for me. Mm-hmm. Bishop should get that call up in that regard. Like, that's neither here or there. Juan Mata, they're really going to re-sign him on £160,000 a week when you've young players in Hannibal and Shorehiri who can make that jump and take his place in the squad and save money for transfers going forward. The little things like this make me think, can they be trusted? Because Eric Bailly's just after getting a new contract when he didn't warrant it. And then you look at things such as like the amount of deadwood that's there, and they haven't managed to move them on, and there has been any focus. The fact of the matter is, you look at things such as Grant getting a new contract, Mata maybe getting a new contract, Bailly getting a new contract, all these players who should have been moving on the last 12 months. Who's to say that Jesse Lingard doesn't come back and stay in the squad and Donny van de Beek gets moved on? That could potentially happen. It's been talked about. Mm-hmm. Could happen. You see this thing about investing in the squad, right? I believe that and I see it. They haven't backed the manager anytime they've made significant progress in the league. Yeah. Van Gaal finished top 4, didn't give him significant backing. Mourinho finished 2nd, didn't give him significant backing. They gave him backing to get him back into the top 4, and they gave him backing after winning the Europa League when they bought Lukaku for 75 million after winning the Europa League and brought in Nemanja Matic. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer never got a first-team signing last summer after finishing 3rd. And that was progress on the previous season. If they did not back him this season and we give contracts to the likes of Lee Grant and Juan Mata, it could be circa 2018 again. It really can. But it remains to be seen, like, do they really, just because of one protest, this is where I really kind of struggle to believe him here, because in 16 years, they've never had good communication with the football club. All of a sudden, 1 or 2 protests, almost make them change their mindset and change the way they operate the club. They can't be trusted. And I don't trust them really to really go on and give this manager significant backing and provide the football club with a long-term plan to move forward and be Manchester United again. That's where I have my reservations. And again, it just comes down to their track record over 16 years.
Yeah. No, I get that. I think with the new contract things, I think it's hard to say how much of that is above Ole's head and how much of that is Ole. I think that could be Ole that was.
It's the board.
I think Ole likes Mata. He likes him being about the squad. He likes the senior head. He might be good in the changing room. Good to have in the dressing room. Another person to sort of lean on, and maybe look at going into a coaching role. The same with Bailly. I thought he was very. I think Solskjaer likes Bailly. I think a lot of this summer is going to be Solskjaer's decisions. It seems like what's going to happen with Sancho. It seems like Varane's one of his targets as well. If we get those two, it seems like it's very much, this is what Ole wants. Ole goes to John Murtagh about it, and then the board deal with it above there. And I just think that the Mata and the Lee Grant thing strike me as Ole wants those guys around, and not the board want them around to save money, because there's cheaper alternatives to save money. Like you said, Juan Mata is on a big deal. Whether he re-signs that contract for another year, or whether he gets a new contract with lesser wages and takes a hit or something, we don't know yet. We don't know the details. But the Mata and the Grant and the Bailly one strikes me as Ole likes these players. Ole wants these players to stick around because they're
Ole doesn't like Bailly. There's no way Ole likes Bailly because he's been fit half the season and hasn't played with Victor Lindelof.
I think he likes him as a rotation, though. And I think he believes that if he can stay fit, he's good enough to slot in. And I think that Ole looked at it and went, right, well, what can I do? I can re-sign Eric Bailly to what? Is it a 3-year deal Bailly got? So he can re-sign Eric Bailly, and then he can go out and buy a genuine starting centre-half. Or you can sell Eric Bailly, and then you have to go out and not only buy a starting centre-half, but you need to go out and buy another centre-half worth, 20, 25 million. to sit in and rotate as well. And I feel like with even Mata being re-signed, it's just like, right, okay, so I can go and buy a central midfield player. And I know they're completely different positions and things like that, but I can go and buy a central midfield player. I can go and buy a Jadon Sancho. I can go and buy a Varane. I can go and buy a Trippier. And then I'll have players like Juan Mata to just hold the fort if need be. That, like, if we get lots of injuries and I need a player to play a game, I'll have a player like Juan Mata. He can rely on him.
This is what my problem is with the Mata.
He is. His legs are done. He's tired. He's old. But I think what's been apparent in his whole time at Man United is players that he can trust. It's a reason that we're so fucking poor with our depth. Is because Ollie only has certain players he can trust. He doesn't trust Donny, and they spent nearly 40 million on him. Like, one of Ollie's big things is trust in players, and I think when he has that trust, and he has that trust in Lee Grant, be it as a voice in the change room, as a looks to go into a goalkeeper coach, or Juan Mata, who I think probably looks to go into a coaching role and probably just likes his voice in the dressing room. He's been there, he's done it, he's won things at international and at domestic level. I think a lot of it comes down to, like, Ollie trusts these players, and that's why these players are getting extensions. It's not a case of the board don't want the youth to succeed, because I don't believe that. I don't believe that there's people at Man United that don't want the youth players to play. I just think that with Ollie, he values trust so much more than anything else. And I think Ollie's done well with the academy since he's come in, giving players chances. He's obviously a big reason that Gardner went out on loan as well, to get him that experience. I think he'll go out on loan again in the summer for next season to a Premier League team. I get what you're saying, that it doesn't seem like they're serious because teams around us wouldn't re-sign those players, but I just think it's players that Ollie likes and Ollie trusts, and that's why he's re-signed them, because that's such a big thing for Ollie. It's his biggest thing. It's his trust. He trusts players. Didn't trust Lingard, that's why he got rid of him. Doesn't trust Van de Beek. So he doesn't play him regardless of price tag. He trusts Fred and McTominay, despite probably having better options as a pair, but he trusts Fred and McTominay. It's weird. It's a weird style of management, but I think that's the only reason they stayed. I don't think it's a case of, like, Ollie said get rid of these players and the board have re-signed them new contracts, because I think they respect Ollie more than that.
I understand that, but, like, again, there's players who can make probably more of a contribution to Juan Mata in this squad that he's taking up a spot from. Like, you look at Hannibal. I think Hannibal is definitely the one who's not going to benefit from this. If you're looking at players in the squad who are not going to benefit, I think Hannibal is probably one that's not going to benefit, because he showed he's probably ready for the first team and, like, to be in and around the squad. And Juan Mata's taken up his chances of playing in a cup competition, in a FA Cup, in a League Cup, maybe in the odd few games when we have 3 games in a week. And he's in the matchday squad.
The squad registration not work differently for youth players, though, because
never mind the registration part. That's neither here or there. You're talking about players going into the matchday squad, and Mata takes up that little spot in whatever the 8-man bench.
I don't think he does next season. I just don't think he does. I just think he's in.
Why do you have Mata there on £160,000 a week, Greg? It doesn't make sense to be a bench player.
He might not be, though. He might not be on that wage. We don't know whether he's going to get a new deal, whether it's going to be a completely different contract, or anything like that. He was on 160 grand a week as a player because we thought he was going to be a player for, what was it, a 3-year deal? He was a 4-year deal he was on previously. Like, he was on that deal a long time. So I don't think it'll be a case here. We're going to re-sign you for 160k and you're going to play 9 games a season. Like, I can't see that happening.
Right here, this is where it comes back to, since we're discussing the board. Do you discuss the board to have the backbone to lower his wages?
I trust, I do. To lower them, absolutely, because they're businessmen at the end of the day. I don't back them to give Paul Pogba enough money to stay, because I don't think they will. But I back them to
500 grand. Pogba's looking for 500 grand a week to stay. I look.
That's not happening.
Do not give him that.
No, don't give him that.
I lose respect for this football club. I really do.
Yeah, don't give him that. But I think at the end of the day, they're businessmen. And I think they have more respect for Ollie than they have any manager post Sir Alex. And I know what you say, like, you don't trust them, but unfortunately, that's all we've got to do. We can't do anything else right now, because these are the people that are in charge. So we've literally, and all these people that want Ollie, I think Ollie's one of the most, he's one of the more sane heads in that group of people, that every time he comes out and says something, I cling on to it, because I'm like, Ollie said, this is what he wants, and I believe in his vision for this football club and where it wants to go. And I know we don't trust him. I don't trust him. I'd rather have it much better owners, much different owners, rather they weren't at the club. But like we said, it doesn't sound like they're going to sell up. So we can only hope. We've got to put our hope into that they're just going to do the right thing for once. And it is a bit blind hope and a bit sort of, but we can't do anything else. They don't look ready to sell up. They don't want to sell up. They want to drive Man United on commercially. And they said they want to drive them on the pitch. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I just can't see Mata staying on 160 grand a week to play X number of games when someone like you say, Hannibal, Alanga, Shoretire, anyone like that's in there as well. Like, I just don't think that happens.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But again, when I seen the news about them getting a new contract today, literally right after the Must meeting, it stunk. For me, it really stunk because again, you have other players coming back from loan this summer, such as Andreas Pereira. Phil Jones is still at the club. Romero left today. Fair play. I can't wait to see what he does after this. I think he's been treated horribly by the football club in the last 12 months. But it'd be interesting to see where he goes. But Joel Pereira has been released. Yeah. Pogmel from the 23s got released as well. I was shocked at that. Thought he might have stayed, but I think he was unsettled from what I believe.
He's away back to Spain.
Go back to Spain, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe he was unsettled. But I think you look at this situation with the football club, I think we can all agree. I think actions speak louder than words at this point. I think that this is where we are. I think the Glazers can promise this, and this, but it's whether they put this into motion and they really drive this. But this is where it comes back to for me. I think the manager deserves the backing this summer. He really, really does.
Absolutely.
I think when you look at like a lot of things, like let's take away the structure of the first team in terms of style of play and stuff like that for a second. When Ollie took over, United were like the most unfit team in the Premier League when he took over. Danielle, I have that list. I will, after this point, I will bring up the list for you. I have it here on my phone. But you look, United were the most unfit team when he took over. The academy was in its worst state than it has been in a decade when he took over. Look at the academy now. Ollie's one of the people who have been spearheading that, along with Nicky Butt and others. You look at, the overall consistency in the league. It's been the best it's ever been. Post Sir Alex, people can talk about Mourinho's second place finish. That's fair enough. That was one singular season. But if you look at consistency over a 2-year period, post Sir Alex, Ollie's delivered that. Mm-hmm. Now, where he hasn't delivered cup competitions, that's fair enough. But this is what I'd say about this. I'd rather finish second league than finish 8th and win the FA Cup, to be brutally honest with you.
Yeah.
Because
I'm the same.
A 38-game season shows where your progress really is. Like, really.
Yeah.
Now, people are misinterpreting me saying trophies are egos and all that bullshit, because people say second is, but like a trophy is better than second. Like, you can win a Carabao Cup, but does that show where you really are as a team?
No.
Over a
anyone
season.
Can win a cup. Anyone can win a
cup competition like a Carabao Cup, right?
No.
Swansea City won one. They got relegated, didn't they? Like, not that season or season after they got relegated. Season after. Wigan won the FA Cup in 2013 and they got relegated that same season. Arsenal won the FA Cup and after finishing 8th for 2 successive seasons. So the only trophies I kind of have gripes about not winning is the Premier League, Champions League, Europa League. Like, they're the 3 I kind of look at and say we should be in within a shout of winning them. I'm really disappointed about the Europa League. We should have won it. I'm in full agreement with everyone that says this United team should have won the Europa League. 1,000,000% we should have won that Europa League. But when you consider Man United's overall consistency over this 2-year period under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we've made progress since the Jose Mourinho era.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the state of the football we played under Mourinho, especially in his last 3 months, it was diabolical. And for people to say that we're not playing well, we just went the full season unbeaten away from home. Now, people talk about COVID seasons and this, that, and the other. Any excuse to not credit the man. I look at this, I think there is significant progress in the way we've went about things in terms of the team's been a lot fitter.
Mm-hmm.
The team has been a lot better in certain areas. The utilization of the academy has got a lot better. I think Ollie's overall, management of the squad's been better. Like Paul Pogba, the way he dealt with that Paul Pogba situation has been fantastic.
Yep.
Marcus Rashford is a player whose United career looked dead under Mourinho. Now Marcus Rashford is one of the most promising young wingers in world football. Look at the numbers. He's been improved in the last 2 years. Ollie's had to bring in Mason Greenwood through. Again, does that happen under Jose Mourinho? No, it doesn't. I'm telling you straight now, Mason Greenwood's loaned out to fucking MK Dons or something under Jose Mourinho. I'm telling you it's happening. We'd have Lukaku and probably Ibrahimovic still at the club now. Like, do you know what I mean? Or someone of that ilk. Like, in terms of, you wouldn't see Greenwood playing in this team. Like, when you look at the re-emergence of Luke Shaw. Like, you look at the re-emergence of Luke Shaw. Louis van Gaal signed Luke Shaw for £30 million.
Yeah.
And Shaw came back from a traumatic leg break. And Jose Mourinho ruined his career. Like, ruined his career at that time. And Ollie came in and managed Luke Shaw to the point where he's England's best left back and arguably one of the best left backs in the world at the moment. Now, there is times where, like, and if you want wanting me to mention Ollie's flaws here, yes, his in-game management has been poor at certain stages. Yes, it has. Me and Greg can agree on that. His substitution is the Europa League final. Right. That was a bit of a travesty. I agree with that. He could have utilised his squad better. But as Greg said, we're one penalty kick away from people talking about challenging for the title. I actually don't know how that changes now, but we're one penalty kick away from that. You look at Bruno Fernandes. Like, Ollie's scouting team scouted Fernandes. Your scouting team didn't scout Fernandes. You look at all these things. Yes, Ollie has his flaws. 100% he does. I agree he has his flaws. In my heart and hearts, I think I said this already in the podcast 12 months ago, and I still stick to this point. Is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going to be the manager to win us the Premier League again? I don't know. I said I didn't think he was at this moment in time. I still don't think he is.
No.
But one thing I will guarantee everyone on this video, and you can quote me on this, and you can come back to me when the man leaves the football club, whenever that may be. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to leave this club in a much better state than what Van Gaal, Mourinho did, and David Moyes.
Absolutely.
The next manager who takes over from Ollie will have a very good squad and will only need a few finishing touches to win the Premier League. I strongly believe that. The next manager who comes in after Ollie, all they're going to need is a couple of finishing touches to take over a league winning team. So, for me, whilst there is a lot of positives to take with this squad, and there is a few negatives, as with everything in life. But for me right now, considering he didn't get first team player last summer, people tend to forget. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did not get one first place target last summer. Jadon Sancho, Jack Grealish were his two top targets. And I believe it was centre back as well. He wanted a centre back. That was like his third kind of choice player.
Yeah. He
got none. Zilch. Zero. Right? We got Edison Cavani, who could have signed 8 weeks before that. Now look, he's worked out, but we were all skeptical of the sign at the time. He got Diallo and Palestri, who are two players who were project players, as I was told when they were signing, project players, and that was from someone who was close to the club. We got Donny van de Beek, who Ollie didn't want. Now, I know Greg's thoughts on him. I still think he's a good footballer. But again, I don't think he's a player who suits this squad in terms of...
I think he's a Man United player. I think he's a decent footballer. I don't think he's a Man United player. He's a decent footballer,
but I think, again, when you look at the trajectory of the squad, I think, is he going to be a player for us? I don't know. But when you take an overall view, like, when Jose Mourinho didn't get backed, he crumbled. He moaned, he bitched, he moaned, he done everything. Now people say, oh yeah, Mourinho was, he was standing up to the Glazers, standing up to his employers. Do you know how that ended up for him? He got sacked and he did the job. Like, that's what happened, right? Yeah. But here's the thing. Ollie showed character in terms of how to deal with a crisis. people tend to forget that start of the season as well, last season, not only did we have the debacle of the transfer window, but we also had a debacle of the whole Maguire situation last summer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a big media crisis there. There was a team coming back from no pre-season. Like, they had no pre-season. They jumped from one season into another, whereas the rivals all had, like, apart from Man City, but look, they done significant investment last summer. But you look at every other team. Chelsea spent 200 odd million last summer and had a pre-season. Had a pre-season. Ollie managed to finish second against all the odds. But people will say, Ollie out. People will say he's out of his depth. If he was out of his depth, he wouldn't have dealt with all them issues last season.
No, it would have been
He would have crumbled. And he would have been sacked after that Leipzig game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he turned it around. Yeah. So this is where I say he deserves the backing this summer. And then, look, if it doesn't work out after that, he's had a significant investment at that point.
Yeah.
And then you can say, right, maybe second is a ceiling after that. But this is where I have to say, people who are screaming for him out, people who are saying, get him out now. Like, that's like sacking a builder halfway through building your house.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'd have to hire new contractors and all that, would have all different ideas. Let him finish building the house. And from then, if it doesn't work out, then you get rid of him. And then you have new plans for your house. And maybe a new way to renovate it. But
definitely,
other than that, for me, give him the backing this summer. And then let's see where we go from there.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. You're so right in terms of like the fitness thing as well. Like, I don't know if I've been listening to The Athletic and stuff, and I think it was Carl Anka, the Man United sort of journalist for The Athletic, was saying that when Van Gaal first came in, he introduced all the fitness stuff, put up loads of cameras around the ground, got like those little vest things installed, and was going to make the team super fit. Mourinho came in, ripped in all the cameras, and didn't do any fitness. And then Ole came in and wanted to play this really quick style of football, and no one could run, because no one had been doing player tracking, no one had been doing any player fitness or anything like that. So not only has he had to sort of build this team, he's also building a fitness regime for the biggest football club in the world from scratch. Like, he's doing a lot of things, I think, behind the scenes that aren't seen because we don't go out and beat every team 4-0 every weekend, which at the end of the day just isn't football. And it would be great to be able to do that. It'd be brilliant to be able to go out and smash every team every weekend, but it's not football, and it's not where this Man United team are. But you're absolutely right. If he gets back this summer, if he gets Sancho, which is looking as close as it's ever done, if he gets Varane, which is looking like a possibility as well, and then gets a holding midfielder, why not? Why is he not able to challenge? And then we judge him this time next year. If we're sat here next year with a very good finish in the Premier League, whether that be winning it, whether it be challenging all the way to the last day, and we're sat with a couple of cups, then yeah, why not? We continue. If we're sat here next season and we finish 6th and we crash out the Champions League really early, despite having that massive investment in the squad, then it's maybe time to look elsewhere. But I think you're absolutely right. He deserves one more season at least of being a season of being backed. He's not been backed. And I know people, okay, you bought Wan-Bissaka and Maguire and Bruno Fernandes. Okay, so that's 3 signings, 3 of which are being.
You know what I want to touch on the Harry Maguire thing, right? I find it's hilarious. People say
I don't get it. He's class.
You know, there's one point everyone neglects with that argument. We sold Romelu Lukaku to get Maguire. Yeah. That paid for Maguire. Mm-hmm. If you want to look at Ollie's net spend at Man United, it's not that high.
Nope.
Jose Mourinho has a much higher net spend. Like, people tend to forget, Jose Mourinho back-to-back 2 summers smashed Man United's transfer record.
Yeah.
89 million for Pogba that one summer, 75 Lukaku for the next summer. And all he has to show for them in them 2 massive summers that he, like, in terms of transfer fees, where he did get back in, was a 6th place finish and 20 points behind City. Yeah. And yes, he did win the Europa League, but the standard Europa League was a lot poorer that year than it was this year. And a Carabao Cup that he won, which I'll be honest, at the final, I was at the final. I was behind the goal where Gabbiadini had the offside goal. I tell you now, Gabbiadini was not offside. I was like literally in line with the fucking goal. He was not offside. He was very fortunate to win it. I know he got a broken nose with the winner when Zlatan scored. But like, when you really deep it, and people say they like to use this phrase, let's deep it. Okay, let's deep it. You want to bring up signings like Maguire. Lukaku paid for him.
Yeah.
Let's be brutal about that, right? Bruno Fernandes, £47 million. That's a fucking bargain. That's a bargain. That's a fucking bargain. And then people want to talk about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. All right. Okay. Did we not just get Alexis Sanchez off the wage bill at that time as well?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what, 300 grand a week?
Yeah.
Like, he was out on loan, but we got him off the wage bill that summer as well. Like, people really want to make this point that Ollie's been backed. Right. This is what I say to you guys. Do your research before you make points like this.
Yeah.
Because the facts will show he wasn't backed. And then last summer, he most definitely wasn't backed. Even in the summer when he was semi-backed. That all depended on whether we sold Lukaku or not.
Yeah.
A Jose Mourinho player. So, like, if you really want to say he's got backed and you really want to say he should be gone now, like, I really struggle to agree with you guys. And one thing I'll also say is, for those who are calling now for Antonio Conte to come in, you want to talk about a rebuild?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might win us a Carabao Cup and he might win us an FA Cup and might give us a 1-year title challenge. Antonio Conte will leave us now a much worse state than Jose did.
Of an average age of about 45.
Yeah, an average age, look, I won't go that far, but the average age of teams is 30 to 31, right?
Yeah.
You look at people calling for Zidane. Zidane would not be able to come into this Manchester United team right now because there's still a lot of rebuilding to do. He's not a rebuilding manager.
No.
He's not that. And coming into a new league, that would not be the thing. Like, he came to a team of stars at Real Madrid. We're not guaranteed success for Zinedine Zidane.
No.
We're not. It's simple as that. Like, Maurizio Pochettino, if he came in, okay, right, I could actually see it's the proofs in the pudding what he can do with a limited squad. But I don't think, could he get any higher than second? Probably not. Probably not. Brendan Rodgers is out of the equation at the moment. He's tied into a very good project at Leicester.
He'd be the only one. Behind, obviously, Klopp or Pep would be the three.
Yeah, Klopp or Pep. Him, Klopp or Pep are probably the only ones that come in and really, I think, get this team to a title challenge. Yeah. I think probably if you're looking at it, not even Pep, I'd say Klopp gets his team to a title challenge. I think Klopp would be he's known for getting that extra sweat. I think Pep, he need to spend another 400 million on this team before we become title challengers. He's a very good track record of really kind of spending countries on teams. But when you really look at it right now, are we saying Ollie's the man to take us to the title? We're not. This is where people misinterpret this. This is not an Ollie in, Ollie out debate. This is what it is for me. I'm looking at this from a moral and logistic point of view here.
Mm-hmm.
Sack him now, and you then have another rebuild in your hands. Give him a season, let him get these players. And then really at that stage, you can then say, right, you've had your significant backing. You haven't progressed from last season. We're going to have to cut ties.
Yeah.
Look, that's fair enough. Thanks for all your work. You've done fantastically well. The club is in a great shape. Thanks very much. Here's an ambassadorial role after that. Do you know what I mean? Keep him on good terms with the club. But, Greg, one thing I want to ask you about this whole Ollie situation. Obviously, look, there's rumours that a 3-year contract might happen.
Yeah.
Right, this is the question I'm asking. He has 1 year left in his deal.
Mm-hmm.
And we're giving him this back in this summer. Mm-hmm. He might get the back in this summer.
I think
on the basis of getting back this summer,
yeah.
Would you give him the 3-year deal, or would you let him see out his deal this summer and then see where we are next season?
No, I'd give him the deal. I've said from the start, I've been one of the very vocal about it, that I think it's very hard for a manager, regardless of all he can say, that the board, he feels like the board back him and he feels that he's got a good communication with the Glazers and things like that. If he's sat ticking on a 1-year deal, despite taking the club from sort of 6th place finish to being second, to being top at one point, to European finals, okay, Europa League. He's taking the club from that to where it is now, and he's sat in a 1-year deal. He doesn't feel trusted, and it's very hard for a man. And you'll always be feeling like every game could be your last because you're so disposable with a 1-year contract. And that could only end badly on the team as well. Like, I just think the team would end up playing cagey in games because all he knows that he's a disposable asset if he's got a year left or less than a year left. And why not just back him? Just back him. Just give him the 3-year contract. Let him see what he wants to do. And if we're sat here next year and we haven't progressed, get rid of him. It's sweetie money compared to what you're going to spend on big players. Like for Man United, a 3-year contract for a manager, people are freaking out over this. It's ridiculous. Like, we've got David De Gea right now on mad amounts of wages. Like, that should be a bigger concern about how we're going to get rid of those wages than whether or not we offer Ollie a 3-year deal. Like you said, we've got Juan Mat on 160 grand a week. We should be worried more about that than really giving Ollie a 3-year deal. Like, it's literally sweetie money compared to what you're going to spend normally in the day-to-day run of a football club, and especially in transfer windows and things. But yeah, I think he deserves it. I think he deserves to feel like he's backed and that they've got that faith in him and that they believe in him. I just think it's always hard for a coach with a 1-year deal to really feel that he's trusted. And let's back to that trust thing again. But always really, I imagine it's his biggest mantra is trust. Trusting players, trusting people around him. And I imagine he needs to feel that trust as well. I imagine it's reciprocated. I imagine it's something that he felt all through his time playing. Obviously, with Sir Alex, things like that, sitting on the bench, he clearly trusted a process that, okay, you're not going to start every game, but you're going to be important to me. So it's clearly something very important to him. It's been something throughout his career that he needs to feel trusted, and he needs to trust people as well. So yeah, I think he deserves it. Just give him the deal. If we get here this time next year and we've done rubbish, get rid of him. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, look, I understand that. I think. I agree, because I think he's under extra pressure. I think if you don't give him that deal, I think look, there's much bigger problems. I think when you look at the situations, such as the De Gea situation, even the Henderson situation to an extent. I think you look at that goalkeeping situation, their wages, very big problem there.
Yeah,
the Mata situation, Lee Grant situation. All these different situations are a lot worse than the Ollie one. But again, it'll just rule the roost, I think, at that point. I think there's, again, this is the problem. And this comes down to the ownership again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the last time they didn't back a manager, they gave him a new contract. So if the owners really want to show the ambition and show they're serious, I think what they need to do here is give Ollie the 3-year deal. Give him the sufficient funds this summer, and then at that point, then if he doesn't cut the mustard this season, next season, sorry,
it's fair game, isn't it?
That's when you part company.
It's fair game. You've been given the 3-year contract. You've been given the 100+ million. You've given 150+ million spend. It's fair game at that point. You've been given everything we could have given you, and if you can't push this club forward, fair game. You aren't the one to do it. So he needs to be on a level playing field, because he hasn't been so far, and he's been immense for Man United, like the way where he's taken us from to like, I enjoy watching Man United again.
Yeah,
I was saying that before the Europa League finals. I didn't watch the last Europa League final. That's how much I hated watching Man United under Mourinho. I didn't watch it. It was a European final and I didn't watch it. I went and I did something else. Like, I enjoy watching Man United again, and that to me is bigger than sort of anything we've had in the last few years. Now we push on and win things, but all his main job was to make Man United likeable again, because I think there was a lot of fans that hated us and hated watching us.
Yeah, I think I became very disillusioned with the football club under Jose Mourinho. I'm not going to lie. I supported United all the time, obviously, and that love never goes away.
No,
love never goes away. But it's like being in a relationship where you're clinging on. That's the way it was under
Jose.
But look, again, Ollie has done a lot of things right, and I think you let the contractors finish the house, and at the end of it, let's see if you like it or not. Again, you have a lot of money. If you're not happy with the job that's been done, you can always change it after that. But you have to leave and complete the job first. And again, yes, I am making the Maurizio Pochettino analogy that he made in that interview with BT Sport, but I think it's very appropriate to this situation.
It's good, yeah.
With Ollie, it is. So, look, by all means, definitely on that. But we've been on an hour and a half now. It's been a very good show. But looking to finally, just before we go, give me your 3 players you think United are going to sign this summer.
I think Sancho. I think that'll be done very soon. I hope for the Euros. Looks like both sides want it done before the Euros as well. So Sancho, Varane, and I don't know who they're going to get for that central midfield spot.
Say it.
Yeah, Declan Rice. That would be a dream.
The fact I've got you and Reece to now say that on the show. That's a win. But just before we end up, I forgot to do it for Danielle. And the players who got released, I'll tell you now. So it was Joel Pereira, Sergio Romero, then 6 academy players, Jacob Carney, Mark Helm, Leston Hughes, Arnaud Pugmel, Max Taylor, and Aliou Traore. Fuck, Traore got released. Not Ahmed Traore now, Aliou Traore. No striker. Fuck.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't even cop on that he got released. Hopefully he finds another club. But yeah, look, thanks very much everyone tuning in. I know this was a Euro 2020 preview. If you watched the first hour of the show, it was. But obviously with the whole situation with the meeting with Musk today, I did have to cover that off today. Because I'm not doing another podcast probably till Monday or Tuesday. So I wanted to get that covered off, at least on my part, because I know the girls on Three Devils and the Gooners, they will cover it off next week, I'm sure, on their show as well. Just before we go, Greg, do you want to make a shout out to your potential new show that we're going to start next week?
Yeah, absolutely. So the new show is going to be just the Premier League podcast, just talking everything to do with the league. Best league in the world, for my money anyway, just different. Obviously, through the season, it's going to be different results, top stories, things like that. But before, it's going to be transfer news, transfer rumours, how teams are going to look to sort of sell and buy. A lot of big stories, obviously, with Tottenham needing a coach, Chelsea looking like they're going to buy big, Man United, of course, Arsenal needing players. It's going to be really good. So that's starting very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've dropped the bombshell on Greg that's starting next week. I've dropped that live on there. As always, I do like to drop a pipe bomb. I like to see it come. But yeah, and as always, look, again for me, do smash like in the video. Do subscribe to the channel. It does go a massive way in terms of helping us grow and helping us build and helping us move forward. Devil's Advocate ourselves, we will be back, I think, Tuesday night, where I will talk transfer news. I will also get the lads on. I think we're going to have a packed podcast on Tuesday. I want to kind of really dive into the kind of topics on Tuesday. So we'll get the likes of Shane and the lads on, Greg, yourself, all the lads on the podcast. And we will talk all things Manchester United. And we always will delve in depth. But as always, catch Greg on Twitter at Greg_D_Chambers. You can see my handle at Keane_Franey. All for your old Manchester United shithousery and also serious tweets at the same time. But this is, well, it was the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We did switch over to Devil's Advocate. This is Devil's Advocate. And we're out here. See you later.